Welcome all you sunrisers and moonrisers to Sleepless in Studio City, a safe place for discussing what's keeping your mind, body, and spirit from sweet, sound slumber. Your host, Dr. Debs, a celebrated columnist, lauded love, romance, relationship, and dating coach, offers simple, soothing solutions and heartfelt help. Dr. Debs will discuss topics such as finding and keeping the love you deserve, dating, marriage, parenting, setting boundaries, breaking the cycle, breaking up, following your dreams. We respect your privacy and will not reveal names or contact info. If you'd like your questions answered during the show but are hesitant to call in, please feel free to write Dr. Debs at sleeplessinstudiocity@gmail.com and she will address your concerns on the next broadcast. You can also find updates and weekly affirmations on Facebook/Sleepless in Studio City. And now, without further ado, here's Dr. Debs.
Thank you, Zach, for that energizing introduction. Always a pleasure and honor to be here with you night owls for another exciting episode of Sleepless in Studio City. Stay tuned for our magical musical interlude. I'll be presenting Kathy Sanders, the incredible singer, songwriter, guitarist. She'll be performing an original tune of her newly released CD. It's called Beverly Hills of Love, accompanied by Mark Sanders on acoustic and electric guitars and John Cartwright on electric bass. You won't want to miss Kathy revealing the meaning of music in her life, advice for aspiring artists, what she thinks is the key to finding and keeping love, and much more. In my last spiel, I was talking about the vows, how love is an action, a commitment, not just a feeling. It's saying to yourself every day, I recommit to the agreement to myself, my partner, the world, the universe, that I'm going to stick this out come hell or high water. That's why marriage vows say for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do we part. That's what it takes for a romantic connection to continue. It's kind of like what happens when you become a parent, only you don't have to take a vow. It's something to consider before you decide to get pregnant. Maybe there wouldn't be so many unwanted children being born, or so many unwanted children being conceived or aborted. Let's say you get past the big C word, commitment, connection, communication, compromise, and decide, okay, I'm willing to let go of having to do everything my way. I'm willing to compromise. I'm willing to make a decision to stick it out. I'm willing to be a duo instead of going solo. Wanting someone you can count on, who's on your side, who has your back, who's your BFF. As an aside, the biggest compliment a guy can give a girl, even more so than saying you're my love, is when a man says to a woman, you're my best friend. A lot of women get upset. He tells me I'm his friend, I'm his best friend, but I want to be the love of his life. Well, in guy language on Mars, being your best friend means you're everything. You're the love of my life. It's worth $1 million. It indicates that he's found the woman of his dreams, his holy grail. So take it as a sign of affection when a guy tells you you're his best friend. By the way, to that love chemical, when you see someone across a crowded room and your heart goes pitter-patter, okay, so you don't turn the other way as I recommend. What is it about that love chemical that comes in and makes the love potion toxic? What is it that changes all the pieces when it seemed there was only endorphins that would last a lifetime? In other words, how do you get past the honeymoon phase of a relationship, which most never do? How do you get through the power struggle stage and accept the differences? How do you even get to the point of acknowledging the differences? What is it about the differences that make everyone recoil as from a hot flame? Are you looking for a clone? Differences attract, yeah, but the similarities bond. I always say I want to be with someone totally different than me. I don't want to clone. But then, when I'm with that different person, I become intolerant and try to change them to be more like me. That's the catch-22 right there. You might not want to clone, but since everything and everyone is a projection, you get frustrated and impatient if someone doesn't act the way you expect them to, the way you would act in a similar circumstance. How do you climb that mountain and get past those hurdles so you aren't living alone? Are single people made up of a different constitution than those in long-term liaisons? Why are some so suited for pairing off and some not? Plus, why is it so much easier for members of the opposite sex to be just friends? Again, when those endorphins start spreading, it's a horse of a different color. That's when you separate the men from the mice, so to speak. I love having male friends. They're just so wonderful to be around. Then I think about how they are with their lovers, and I imagine I wouldn't want to be with that part of them. We all become unique creatures when we add sex to the pile. That powerful, it has the capacity to destroy or to restore, to wreak havoc on or to preserve, to crush, squash, scar, disfigure, or to bolster, help, to annihilate, to slaughter, or massacre. Well, sex is more powerful than the atom bomb, than a locomotive. Trust me, many have felt like the atom bomb exploding when they get together, adding sex to the equation. Some folks I know might benefit by being put away in a nuclear plant to contain them when they're exploding due to the unresolved issues that appear as soon as they merge physically. That's why there's a multitude of explosive relationships due to those chemicals. It is like an atom bomb out there. Some duos are walking explosives, ready to slaughter and demolish everything and everyone in their path. Who hasn't felt shattered, scarred, ruined after a difficult divorce or breakup? It's because of that chemical connection, that bonding that's like super glue. And how hard to be restored to the way you were prior to that attachment. It's impossible to separate super glue. Can Humpty Dumpty be put back together again? Many people live in fear, hence are hesitant to engage in another attempt at togetherness. They're living in the past. Love is letting go of fear. Love is letting go of shame. Love is letting go of expectation. Sure, those are tall orders when you have years and years of fear, shame, and expectation built up. How to chisel down through the layers, unpeeling them one by one. That's the answer. One by one. Not all at once. Little by little. Step by step. Starting with small, tiny, teensy steps. What can you do today to pursue a connection? What can you do today to improve your connection with yourself, which inevitably will improve your connection with others? How can you accept yourself in all your glory and non-glory? How can you see the beauty and brilliance within? You can't possibly accept someone in your life with their defects and assets, with their negative and positive traits, unless you can first do that with yourself. It's possible, beginning with acknowledgement and awareness. If you're listening to this show, you're already on your way to becoming conscious, aware, and craving that change, yearning to evolve. One of the ways to expedite this process would be to make a decision to be yourself in front of those you feel a spark with. Not only physically, I mean, come on, girls. Guys are going to see you without makeup anyway at one point or another, especially when you're in the sack, so you may as well not shock them off the bat. Besides, a majority of men love their women au naturel. It's really sexy. I've had men come up to me when I've been sweating, I've been working out at the gym. They come up to me. It's like I'm the Pied Piper, the way I attract men when I'm not all dolled up. It's because men see your true innate beauty. People, women, everyone, when you are vulnerable and you take off your mask, Literally and figuratively, they see your spirit, your energy, your vibration. That's what causes the magnetism. It's not about putting up that facade. In my family, I was taught not to leave the house unless everything matched perfectly from head to toe. I had to match my hair, my makeup, my earrings, my dress, my purse, my shoes. I remember my mom saying to you can't wear those shoes. They don't match the rest of your outfit. Well, what did it matter, pray tell? What needed to match was my insides with the outsides. And I was never taught that. I was never even taught I had an inside. I didn't even know there was anything inside. Oh, how sad. I'm getting teary-eyed. I had no clue that there was anything inside. It was all outside. It was always out there. I never took care of myself. I only took care of other people. I wasn't worried about myself. I was worried about my family and how I could keep them from exploding and taking their wrath out on me and abusing me. How sad that I wasn't taught about the inners. I wonder if I'm doing my daughter a disservice. Am I only talking to her and helping her with her outers? Or am I helping her see the beauty of her inners? I hope I've done that. I hope I've broken the cycle. To my daughter who might be listening, please let me know if I haven't been an example of how it's an inside job and how your beauty is on your inside and how your power is on your inside and how your brilliance and your genius is on your inside and how that's more important than the grades you get, how that's more important than how you dress, how you treat other people and how we treat each other is more important than how much money you make or what position you have in your company. I hope that I've done that. Please let me know. Feel free because I'm teachable and I want to be the best mom I can be. I can always be better. Back to the insides and why it's adamant that you are real on the inside about who you are, about your hopes, your values, your dreams, your fears with any man that you meet. Put your cards on the table. Let them know who you are. Practice the 6th language of love. You don't have to wait. You can be vulnerable and be yourself. So you don't have to waste your time or their time. I remember when I was with my ex-husband, he loved that I was high up in my company, that I was a lawyer. And when I became vulnerable, when I gave birth, I was a different person. He hadn't fallen in love with my insides. He had fallen in love with my outsides. So trust me from experience, you may as well put your cards on the table up front. This is an opportunity for you to bond internally. That is the level where you can reach the bliss of co-creation, the highest stage of a relationship, bliss in co-creation, where you can see that we're all the same, that there are no differences. We might act in different manners, but on the inside, we're all the same. We're one. We all want to love and be loved. We're all of the purpose of being our best selves and doing what's in the best interests of others. That's the highest form of love, agape love. Yet so much of the dating world focuses on what we look like. What do we wear? What questions do we ask on our profile? What is our online photo? What's the protocol on a first date? So many men and women just look at the photo. It's all about the photo. I love the story of a friend of mine who did not put a photo online. Most men won't even look at you. Well, she met a guy. They fell in love. He fell in love with her insides, not her photo, and they've been together for a long time. The truth is, it's all about the vibration and the connection, just like the electrical connection. That's what it's about. Do I feel like I met this person before? Do I feel comfortable in my own skin when I'm around them? Do they bring out the best in me? Can I be myself without a face and putting on ears? I love that definition of I love you. I love you means when I'm with you, I'm in touch with the capable, confident, most loving parts of me. It's not about that person giving you anything, which in turn indicates that if they leave, they'll take that with them if they've given you the love. No, it's about that person bringing out the best in you. So if they leave, they're not taking you with them. The love is within you. They may have brought out the love in you, but it comes from you and it stays with you. Hence, when they leave, you can bless them for having brought out the love. I'm always surprised when I see couples who seem to bring out the worst in each other. It just goes to show you can't judge a book by its cover. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Back to how to let go of expectations and accept differences, embracing them, welcoming them. I'm sick of guys trying to change me or have me be a certain way or judge me. Usually, of course, they're being hard on themselves and on their own case because they're not perfect. Perfectionism. That's what keeps the single world thriving. Looking for the Prince Charming, the knight in shining armor, the Lady Madonna, the goddess, throwing anything else back into the pool or the pond or the fish in the sea. What about the concept, the idea, the notion of being friends first, then release the chemicals? Since if you do it backwards, it's a setup for disappointment. This way, there's not as much pressure on the individuals to be the prince or the princess. You can just be yourself. Get to know each other. Whoa. Take the time. See what makes you tick. Practice the languages of love. Time, gifts, language, service. The sixth language of love. Vulnerability, sensitivity, sharing your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your wishes, your goals. They say it takes 4 seasons to get to know someone. On the other hand, it's said that you know in the first 5 minutes whether you're a match made in heaven or not. Of course, in those first 5 minutes, most of us ignore the red flags. Even in the first conversation, I know, I can feel it. I can sense if we're a match made in heaven or not. But I try to make an orange an apple or fit a square into a circle, especially if there's that sexual energy, which for me is a rarity. So when I feel those chemicals, which again are inside of me and not from the other person, but from within me, I go backwards and try to make the rest of it work. I'm sure you can all relate. I've had many men call in and say, I can't break free from this unhealthy relationship because of the sex. The sex is so great, but there's nothing else going on, and I can't see spending the rest of my life with this person. If you started out as friends first, it might relieve that sexual pressure on both ends. I made a play on words. Yes, on both ends, meaning in the sexual organs on the one end and the heart, brain, third eye chakras on the other end. If you all laid your cards on the table right up front, it would spare you a lot of sorrows, headache, heartache. Often you fall in love with your idea of that person, wanting to find your knight or lady rather than the reality of that person. Which reminds me of the case of one person being madly in love with someone who can't reciprocate, the unrequited love scenario. Or the foolish little girl stance when you didn't want him when he wanted you. That's my dance. He's found another love. It's her he's thinking of, and there's not a single thing that you can do. But I love him. No, you don't. It's just your pride that hurts. I still love him. That's the fickle little girl. I don't know if it's my Gemini trait. There's also that scenario in Best Friend's Wedding when Cameron Diaz tries to turn their friendship into romance as her BFF is about to get married to another woman. A good question to ask yourself if you're having a hard time returning love from someone who's professed their undying affection for you. How would you feel if they dated someone else? How would you feel if you saw them walking down the street hand in hand with a new love? Maybe that'll help the fickleness. You probably wouldn't be in this bind in the first place if you didn't put so many demands on another person to be who you want them to be. Both men and women do this. Perhaps that's the reason singledom is on the rise, even though it's documented that people live longer when they're married, especially men. Research has found that married men live substantially longer than single men. Consider whether it's healthier to live alone if you aren't of the makeup that you can accept another exactly the way they are without trying to change them. If you can't say I love you just the way you are, those words are pearls of wisdom, gems, gorgeous music to my ears when I first heard the title of that song, I Love You Just the Way You Are. I had found the Holy Grail. I've always wanted to hear someone croon that to me and mean it. But then again, how can someone love you the way you are if you aren't the way you are, if you don't show them who you are? That's been my issue. I don't show people who I am, and then I don't trust their love for me. Well, you only love my facade. You don't love the real me. It's mandatory, folks, to heal that shame. Accept yourself 100% in all your favorable and unfavorable, your constructive and destructive, your promising and unpromising, your beneficial and unbeneficial, your worthy and unworthy character traits. No one is perfect. There's no such thing. What I've comprehended lately is it's the so-called shameful qualities that people have that I find the most endearing, the most lovable, the most encouraging and esteemable. So if I find those character traits gorgeous, then it follows you'll find those character traits gorgeous in me. When someone else shares with me their worst fears, the thing they detest about themselves, the thing they've done they can't forgive themselves for, it's the very topic that bonds them to me eternally. They become precious treasures. It's because that's where we're all the same. At that level, there's no differences the deeper we go. It's only the exteriors that are different. The way we act and look and talk and walk. It's essential to be rid of prejudices or discrimination so we can celebrate the we in the universe, the we in our neighborhood, the we in our family, the we in our households. It's you and me, not I. I love when I have a conversation with someone who talks about I this, I that. He this, he that, me. That's the epitome of selfishness, self-centeredness. No wonder you can go outside or to a gathering and no one notices if you have a wart on your nose because they're all so self-centered. It's a pleasure when someone says they actually recognize that I changed my hair. I remembered being disappointed when my ex-husband would come home and disregard and ignore, turn a blind eye to the fact that I had a haircut. I mean, a simple thing like that. If he didn't observe something overt like that, how would he ever perceive if I was sad, angry, scared? Awareness is the key. First of ourselves, then the rest of the planet, including animals and plants, which is why a mindful walk is a priority. It's a wonderful way to practice raising your consciousness of things so you can raise your consciousness about people. That's how you can, in turn, raise the consciousness of everyone. Since we're all mirrors and reflections of each other, if I can't see you, I can't see me, and vice versa. If I can't see me, I can't see you. It's a we world after all. Not just a small world after all, it's a wee world after all. Ha! I made another play on words. Wee as in small. And the wee world, or the small world after all, that's one of awe and bliss. I welcome all of you this week to embrace something about yourself that you've been wanting to hide from others. A secret. What's your secret shame? What do you hide from others about others? What is the one thing that you've been holding on to because you think no one will love you for it? That's your lovable place. That's your happy place. That's your safe place. When you reveal that, whoop, that is the peace de resistance. That's the Holy Grail. You don't have to look any further. That's the answer. That spot in you you've been hiding that you don't want the rest of the world to see. Find that spot this week. What's that hidden treasure? In a similar vein, what is it that bothers you most about the person closest to you? Since that will indicate the very thing in you that needs focus and attention. If you can't find that thing in yourself, just look at what bothers you the most in the person next to you. Then use the love meditation on yourself and on them. Start with yourself because it's an inside job. You have to love yourself first before you can love others or receive love from them. Receiving is the key, especially when it's been difficult for you. If you're normally a giver, try receiving this week. And conversely, if you're more comfortable receiving, try giving. That's the quickest way to grow and expand your horizon, by taking the road less traveled. I leave you with my version of the love meditation to use first on yourself, then on an acquaintance, then on someone special to you, then on someone who turns your stomach, then on a group of people you have a problem with. So start with yourself. I am admired, adored, and appreciated. I am beautiful inside and out. And with that person closest to you, you are admired, adored, and appreciated. You are beautiful inside and out. And with that person who's difficult, that turns your stomach, you are admired, adored, and appreciated. You are beautiful inside and out. And say it for a group of people that you have problems with, like the world, or all the Democrats, or all the Republicans. You are admired, adored, and appreciated. You are beautiful inside and out. Continue on a deeper level. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of success. I am worthy of friendship. I am worthy of fulfillment. And use the person that you love. Use their name. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of friendship. You are worthy of fulfillment. And take it on that difficult person. You want to really stab in the back and say, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of friendship. You are worthy of fulfillment. And on a third level, I deserve fondness and affection. I deserve devotion and dedication. I deserve allegiance and loyalty. I deserve faithfulness and fidelity. You deserve fondness and affection. You deserve devotion and dedication. You deserve allegiance and loyalty. You deserve faithfulness and fidelity. And continue that with someone difficult, with a group of people who are difficult. And finally, may I have peace. May I have joy. May I be free from suffering. To the person closest to you, may you have peace, may you have joy, may you be free from suffering. And to that person that is the most difficult in your life, may you have peace, may you have joy, may you be free from suffering. And that group of people that you abhor, may you have peace, may all of you have joy, may all of you be free from suffering. And to the world at large, may you have peace, may you have joy, may you be free from suffering. Now it's time for our caller. Hello there, welcome to Sleepless in Studio City. I'm Dr. Debs, and who am I speaking with?
My name's Doug.
Hi, Doug, and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Silver Lake neighborhood.
Oh, from Silver Lake. Well, welcome to the show, and what's on your mind tonight? What's keeping you from sweet, soft slumber? Let's hear the good news in your life. I always like to hear that first. What's the good news?
Well, the good news is I have a 5-year-old son who's healthy and happy and just started kindergarten and is curious and excited and enthusiastic. I'm healthy. Had ankle surgery and recovering from it at a lightning pace. In fact, it was interesting because the first doctor I saw for my broken ankle said that it was a terrible break. The ligament was hanging there with a piece of bone that had been torn off of the side of my ankle. So he says, I'm putting you on disability and putting you in a cast, a walking cast. And then he saw me a week later and he said, wow, this is amazing. It's completely healed on now.
Wow.
I think you can get by with just a ankle supporter now. And I was like, that's great. So I started to do that. Then he saw me 3 weeks later and he said, oh, you know what? I was wrong about that. It is still detached. The bad news is it will never heal on now. But if it's giving you pain, I can do surgery on it and then remove the little piece of bone because I'm sure that's the only reason you're having pain. And I said, oh, I wouldn't be having pain because of the fact that I have a detached ligament on the outside of my ankle. He said, well, whatever, we can't attach it. So I had just gotten custody of my 5-year-old son. I'm 65, single, got real busy real fast taking care of him and really didn't have time to take care of my ankle. Up until about a year, so about a year goes by, and I decided to, of course I needed to find another doctor, and I found this Korean doctor named Joseph Park in Burbank, and he's a young guy and very modern, and he took one look and he goes, well, yeah, it's detached, and we can do a very simple arthroscopic surgery on it, which will reattach it to the ankle. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought it can't be reattached now. He's like, well, who told you that? I said, Dr. Franklin Case in Burbank, of Burbank Podiatry, said that it's impossible to reattach my ankle, that ligament to the bone. He says, well, if we can try some exercises and stuff to make it feel better, or we could do a surgery. And I said, let's go to the surgery because I'm tired of the pain and I'm tired of the instability and I want to have it be normal again. So he was going to do a procedure called a brostrum, which is where they actually have this material which is super strong, space-age material, and they anchor the ligament right back onto the bone again. And within a couple of weeks, the inherent intelligence in your DNA causes your ligament to follow the brostrum back down to the bone and reattach itself within like 2 weeks. And now I had gone to this seminar called Evolving Out Loud about 3 months ago. Kyle Cease, and I highly recommend.
Oh, you know what?
Recommend this seminar.
Yeah, wait, Evolving Out Loud, and it's Kyle.
Cease. The last name is Cease, just like cease and desist.
Right,
C-E-A-S-E.
okay. I actually heard about that seminar on KPFK, Evolving Out Loud.
That's where I heard about it.
Oh my gosh, one of their fundraisers, right? One of the gifts you get from a fundraiser?
Yes, in fact, I got it as a gift for subscribing.
Right, for subscribing. Oh my gosh, I really want to hear about that because that's one of the ones I remember, and it's one of the ones I was thinking, if I can make that date, I'm going to subscribe and pick that as my gift. Tell me about that. That was just recently, or was that a couple months ago?
Well, this was 3 months ago.
3 months ago. Was it life-changing?
And so it absolutely was. There was a lot of material that I already knew about. There was a lot of principles I gleaned from the power of now, from 12-step programs, from studying yoga and martial arts, but it was presented in a way that was very simplistic and funny and real. And it's based around making friends with your feelings, that, instead of running away from your feelings or, trying to not have your feelings or suppress them, to really search them out and not judge them, but experience them fully so that you could get the wisdom that your feelings are trying to bring to you and become more conscious. And so one of the things that, one of my goals, we laid out goals for ourselves on the last day of the workshop, and my decision was to do something for 90 days. Just decide to do something for 90 days, whatever it is, and write it down and try and keep a commitment. So mine was to meditate for 1 hour a day. And interestingly enough, the surgery was right around 90 days into this. And of the many benefits that I had heard about meditation was that it puts you into a state where you're hyper-healing your body, because the the level it puts your brain at is similar to REM sleep, which is when your body really, like you really need that time in your life because that's when your body is able to repair itself and rebuild and regenerate. And so, I had heard that fact, right? And then I went into the surgery, and when it came out, the doctor said, well, this is kind of interesting, but the bone had healed back onto the ankle, and it was firmly attached.
Oh, wow. That was transformational and healing. That was a miracle.
And then, so he said, but the lig, I said, wow, so you didn't have to do the brostrum. And he said, no, I still did the brostrum because your ligament was still 25% torn. And I almost didn't believe him when he said that because it almost sounded like something that you had to say because you didn't really want to tell somebody you put them under general anesthetic and operated on their ankle, and they were going to have, a month of recovery or what, and I didn't read your CAT scan your MRI well enough to notice that the bone was healed back on again. You know what I mean? Like you should have seen that. You should have seen that in the MRI, right?
Right. Malpractice, negligence. I hear.
But the really strange thing about it was, up until 1 to 2 days, about 1 day before I had the surgery, I was feeling my ankle, and I was like, this feels like it's all better. My ankle, I don't have the pain in it that I used to have. This was like 1 day before the surgery.
And that was also 90 days into meditating?
Yeah. But the week before, I had also, my chiropractor said, why don't you let me take an x-ray of your ankle, and I'll just see what I see, right?
Right.
So, in his x-ray, it showed no detached. He goes, I don't see any break. So my chiropractor knew that the bone was healed, right? Wow. I don't understand why the pediatrician, what do you call it?
Orthopedic surgeon.
But the orthopedist didn't see that there was no break off of the bone. So it might have been an unnecessary surgery.
Oh my God.
But I'm not complaining. I'm just really grateful that my ankle is healed up like that.
This is amazing good news. Wow. When I said let's hear the good news, I didn't know it was going to be miraculous like this. That's amazing. And are you still doing the meditation an hour a day?
I'm even more enthusiastic about it because around the same time I had this front tooth that had snapped off, like my crown, right? And I'm walking around without a front tooth, and they put a temporary on, and I hit into something else, and I had to go for a week with my front tooth at like a 90-degree angle sticking out of my face. Okay. And so this is a very good dentist. I promise. But I was at the dentist getting the permanent crown put in, and I mentioned it, and I was telling him about my ankle. And he said, oh, well, I've had a brostrum in my ankle. And I'm like, oh, great. So how did it go? And he goes, you're going to be in for a lot of pain for the next 2 years. So it took 2 years for me to stop feeling the effect of that operation, that surgery, and for it to heal, and a lot of work. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, really. This is a dentist, right? A professional.
Oh my God.
So now I'm sort of like, but my mind wouldn't latch on to that negative thought,
Right.
And I just thought, I've got super healing behind me. I've got my meditation.
I was going to say, did you ask the dentist whether he meditated or not? Because he doesn't have that magic cure like you do. Did he know that you meditated all that time also?
I mentioned it to him, but how stuff like that just, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, he didn't get it.
He didn't really, he's not, he's a dentist. He's a practical man,
Wow.
He's nuts and bolts.
I love how you talked and shared such a heartfelt story and being so candid about how meditation can heal physical ailments as well as emotional, mental, spiritual, psychological, because most people are aware of that, but they don't believe that it has that kind of power. I believe it. Your example of it. So thank you so much for letting everyone know that there's some truth in this meditation
It's absolutely
as a cure.
essential. Well, three weeks into this healing, right? It's almost normal. The main the nightly pain that I'd have to take, ibuprofen for, that's
Right.
over
Oh, I'm
after
sure.
3 weeks.
I'm positive that it's the meditation, because I always say on the show, doctors, are you listening? Because next time you write a prescription for someone on that pad of paper, please make sure you put meditation in there. For whatever ails you, whether it's immune deficiency disorder, whether it's cancer, whether it's depression, whether it's addiction, whatever it is, meditation is always the healing. And here you're a wonderful example of how it can heal your body as well as your mind and your spirit, right? Meditation can heal all of that. And because every disease or disease is caused by unrest in our mind, body, and spirit, the meditation can cure all of those. I'm waiting for the day when instead of doctors recommending that you take ibuprofen or that you take Xanax or you take this or that or the other, that meditation is the number one prescription being written by everyone everywhere.
Yeah.
That's so
Absolutely.
amazing. Thank you for that story. On that note, we're going to take a brief station break, and then I want to come back and hear more about the meditation and your transformation and also your 5-year-old son. So hold on to that thought, Doug, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
The moment you've been waiting for. Our magical musical interlude featuring Kathy Sanders. Kathy has had a lifelong love affair with music. As a young girl, she found that music offered her a way to more fully express her innermost thoughts and feelings. That's a quote from an email interview. She said, "Through my teens and into my early 20s, I was the featured artist at restaurants and cafes throughout the LA area. Following those many years of performing, I took time away from my music to pursue a career as a clinical social worker and therapist and to raise my daughter. Along the way, I also earned a PhD in counseling psychology from UCLA. Whoa! I'm impressed, Kathy. Not only are you talented as an artist, but you're talented as a mom, a psychologist, and a therapist. How lucky for your daughter and yourself to use your music to express your innermost thoughts and feelings." Kathy continued, "Now, after years away, I am back to writing, singing, and sharing my view of the world through my music, and I'm so happy you are, Kathy. It's such an honor and pleasure to know you, and every time I've heard you sing or perform at my favorite place, Kulak's, I am always so moved. You had me at hello with every song." Kathy said her biggest singing influence is Rita Coolidge. The silky quality of her voice and its ability to cut straight through me to my deepest core is something I've always strived for with my own singing. I've been told I sound somewhat like Patsy Cline or Karen Carpenter. When I asked Kathy who her influences were in terms of singer-songwriters, she said, "I've been told my songs remind others of Joni Mitchell's songs, and I've often said that listening to Leonard Cohen's songs give me the courage to explore my darkest sides. I also like to add a playful element to many of my songs, and I do have to vouch that I do hear some of Joni Mitchell and Leonard Cohen's influence in your artistry." I asked Kathy the meaning of music in her life, and she said, music has always been a big part of my life. It's there to help me celebrate. It's there to comfort me in times of sadness. Oh, I'm moved to tears already. It helps me recall memories that I might have forgotten. I love being able to share my own life and experiences through writing my own music and writing the occasional song for a friend to honor them. Whew! I'm really touched by that. And I just have to say, I heard Kathy perform a song that was written about her mom and her daughter. And it was at a time when I had just lost my mom. I was literally there with my daughter, and I was so deeply touched. And I want to thank you, Kathy, for reaching my inner core on the deepest level and touching my mind, body, and spirit. As an empath, I'm often moved, caused by the Stendhal syndrome. I'm often moved by artistry on a deep level. You are one of those people that has left an impact on my heart and soul. I asked Kathy if she had any advice for aspiring artists, and she said, just enjoy your music for its own sake. So few artists make it big. You've just got to enjoy your music. You will be surprised at the people you will meet and experiences you will have through your music. Appreciate your gift and share it with joy. Yes, I ditto that. And last but not least, I asked Kathy what she thought was the key to finding and keeping love. And she responded, be honest with yourself and the other person about who you are, your needs, etc. Appreciate the little things and let it show. I love it, Kathy. I think that will be the title of my next song. Appreciate the little things and let it show. Unless, of course, you want to use it. Go right ahead. We're going to hear tonight an original tune called Beverly Hills of Love with Kathy Sanders on vocals and acoustic guitar, Mark Sanders on acoustic and electric guitars. Do I sense there might be a relation there between Mark and Kathy? And John Cartwright on electric bass. Regarding the significance and motivation behind this tune, Kathy said she wanted to highlight the idea that when you have love, you feel rich inside, like Beverly Hills. That love isn't absolute. It just has to be right for you. And the little things may be what make a particular love the one that's right for you. Beautiful words. And I feel richer just knowing you and hearing your music. So you've given me a wealth. I feel like $1,000,000 after reading your responses, hearing your joy of music and your love of life and appreciating your world. Kathy just released a CD. You can find more about that at kathysanders.com. Kathy was so excited to put together her first CD. She said the most gratifying part was the love and caring of the people who worked with me on the album. The support of friends and family who encouraged me to make the CD, who came to support me at the CD release party. I'm used to being the one who gives, she continued, but not the one who receives. Taking in all this love has been somewhat overwhelming. Whoa. I'm moved to tears again, and I've got chills from head to toe. It is overwhelming to receive. I get that, Kathy. You deserve all of this. Being such a giver as you have been your whole life, I encourage you to open up all of your chakras from the crown to the root and let in all that love. Without further ado, we're going to hear Kathy Sanders in Beverly Hills of Love, accompanied by Mark Sanders and John Cartwright. Take it away, Kathy. How great was that? And welcome back to the show, Doug. And we were talking about your miraculous healing of your ankle due to your meditation commitment that you made on the seminar that you took with Kyle Cease called Evolving Out Loud. Was there a reason he calls it out loud? Is that because in the seminar people are verbal about what's going on with them?
I think that's part of it, and then also the fact that he used to be a stand-up comedian, and he utilizes his comedy in the way that he's talking to the audience and interacting with people, and he does bring people. He brings quite a few people up on stage and works with them in front of everybody in real time.
Did you go on stage?
No.
When you were talking about the seminar, you said it was really transforming and it was funny, and I was like, oh, funny? That's good, talking about feelings. So that is wonderful, because laughter, we were talking about the prescription that doctors hopefully in the future will be giving to their patients, which is meditation on that piece of paper, and I want to add to that laughter. Which is also healing for the mind, body, and spirit. Between the two of those, whoa, no wonder you healed your ankle yourself. It's
I'll tell you another thing. He gave me, made sure that I had a prescription for some pretty heavy-duty painkillers.
Are you talking about the orthopedic surgeon now?
Yeah.
The second one.
Yes. So I just wanted to say that I was able to make it through without ever touching them, and took no more than maybe 2 ibuprofen pills a day.
Oh, there you go again. There's that healing power of meditation. It's miraculous. Remember when they used to have, I don't know if they still do it now, but they used to have people come out and they would put hands on you and say, you're healed, and then somebody would get up and walk. They hadn't been walking for years. Well, I feel like that's what happened with you. You meditated for 90 days, and instead of somebody putting hands on you or whatever, or talking in tongue, you healed yourself. This is so amazing. And I wanted to segue into, because you talked about how you had custody of your 5-year-old son. Does he do any kind of meditating, or do you have any spiritual practices with him? You do?
He goes with me to Al-Anon and to AA meetings. And, that was kind of out of necessity, because I need my meetings, but I didn't have anybody to take care of him or watch him when I would go. So there would be several meetings where I would give him a tablet, and he's looking at his pretty amazing little cartoon shows and stuff with the sound turned off. I wouldn't put headphones on him.
Right.
And everybody would be looking at him like, oh, isn't he well behaved, and he seems oblivious to the whole thing, and blah, 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 blah. Until I was sharing one night, and I just about wrapped up my share, but then he's tugging on my arm and saying, Daddy, tell him about the dog. Like, oh, okay. My son was looking for his shoes under the bed, and the dog thought that he was invading the territory, and the dog snapped at Vaughn and almost bit his hand, and it really hurt his feelings and scared him. And then I got very upset and tried to get to the dog and grab him out, but now the dog was scared, so the dog buried its fangs into my index finger in a couple of places. And, it led to a lot of drama in our house, and we're considering finding a home for the dog now, because it seems to be having trouble deciding who's more important, my son or her. And so he needed to have me share about it at the meeting. So he's obviously present in these meetings, even though it seems as if he doesn't.
Oh, I love it. Do you think he was having you share because he knew it was something that was upsetting you? Or do you think he had you share because he wanted to be part of the process? Sounds like he's super aware of what's going on. It's like he's picked up the program by just going to the meetings with you.
Well, like, he knew that the reason for sharing was because when something affects us and we're having an emotional reaction to it, that we bring it to the meeting.
Right.
And so he's watching other people do it, he's watching me do it, and he had an emotional reaction. This was a traumatic thing that happened in our home.
Right.
And he wanted to get it out. It's just like,
I love it.
Completely a natural thing.
After you shared, did you guys talk about it?
Yeah, I was like, gosh, Ron, I'm so happy that you decided to tell Dad to talk about something that you wanted me to talk about, because absolutely, you're welcome to do that, and you're a part of that meeting too.
Oh,
so,
I bet he grew a couple of inches just from that acknowledgement. That he was part of it, and that he mattered, and that you were making him a priority. Wow, how lucky to have you as a dad. What a lucky kid. And I was going to ask you how that came about, because you said that you got custody of your son. Is that also the good news, or is that the challenging news?
I thought that I was married for 18 years. I was with the same woman for 32 years. I was living this pretty middle-class existence south of the boulevard in Sherman Oaks, working as a professional photographer in the entertainment business. I had a 16-year-old son. I had a son with her, and at the time he became 16, I left the marriage. I separated from my wife, and that was like, I thought at the time, that was the most painful, dramatic, cataclysmic event that I could ever go through, and it took me 10 or 11 years to actually become divorced. And that's like working at getting divorced. It took me like 10 or 11 years, almost to the day that I found out that divorce was final. My girlfriend called me up and said that I had just broken up with and finally managed to get out of my home. Called me up and said, guess what, I'm pregnant. And so this was 5 years ago, right? And I was like, okay, I guess here comes my PhD course in life. I got my master's degree, but I didn't realize I was going to go on to get my doctorate in the School of Hard Knocks and find out what life really had to teach me. And so I decided that in my mind I was sure that she was going to use the baby to get get money out of it.
Right.
And she was going to go to the child. I was going to anyway.
Child support.
My
she
life,
was going to try to get
child support and the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. So I was freaking out, and I thought, if I'm going to be paying child support, why not have a wife and son in the house? She can take care of them. It might be kind of cool. It might work out. So I invited her to come back and live with me. She's from Thailand. Her English is really poor, but she's very clever. Like, I thought her English was a lot better than it actually turned out to be. And I would find out because she would be taking things that I said completely in the wrong way. And so after after a huge amount of drama, I would then find out she didn't really understand what the heck I said. And so she seemed to descend into kind of a postpartum
Depression?
state of depression, as well as like sometimes she would be, you know, it was beyond bipolar. It would be like sometimes she'd be okay, and then sometimes I'd walk in and I wouldn't even know she was sitting there until the hair on the back of my head would start to stand up. And then I'd turn around and she'd just be sitting there staring at me with this look like, I'm going to kill you. And the house, you know, I'm a photographer. I kind of like a visual order to things. I need the things to be organized. And the house started to become like a hoarder's house of hell. And when I would ask her to clean it up, she would then go over and kick out a window or throw a rock through a mirror. You know, like literally, she threw a rock through a mirror, and the 2-year-old is standing there crying, surrounded by shattered glass. And I'm like, it was beyond belief. And then she'd pick up a shard and start walking towards me with it, like out of a horror movie. And so as this was progressing, I had to then take refuge in my bedroom and just keep the door. I put a lock on the door.
What about your son? Where was your son when this was going on?
Well, she would be sleeping with him, and so then I'm thinking, well, there's no way I can get custody of my son because everybody had sort of given me this the idea that the man rarely get custody of the child unless it's the most dire of circumstances.
This sounds pretty dire to me.
Well, I had a preconceived idea about it, and plus at any moment I'm thinking, and I had to face the fact that she could, you know, throw herself down the steps or smack her head into the wall and then call the cops, have me arrested for abusing her, and she'd be living in my house and I'd be in jail. Yeah. And she gave me every indication that's where she was headed for it. But the thing that probably people would find hard to believe, but I believe it's true, was that even though she was doing this, it's not like she would set out to do this as a planned ripoff. Like, you know, you hear about these cases, and then you think of the woman, and you think, oh, she's just like, you know, like a black widow. She's going out, she's setting them up, getting pregnant, doing this whole thing. Now she's going to get them in jail. You hear about this happening, but it really wasn't like that with her, you know, because I really loved her and she really loved me. But she was going through this thing and I didn't know what it was. And she would stay up really late at night outside in the backyard, scaring the shit out of the neighbors. So she would have a white mat and a facial mask on, and she'd be wearing like a white bathrobe. And she'd be out there until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So like sometimes the neighbor would look over the fence to see what was happening, and she'd be standing there with this white face. You know, so she loved sort of scaring people. You know,
right.
She could be very scary. You know, and so
this was when your son was 2?
Yeah.
So what happened between 2 and 4? Because it sounds like you got custody when he was 4.
Yeah, well, one day, like, this situation drove me to Al-Anon, and I was very fortunate to find they get brought to this famous meeting. It's a men's stag that has over 100 guys in it every Thursday night, and it's one of the most incredible fellowships of guys that I've ever seen. And when I went there, like, I heard so much recovery and so much of my own story. I was able to, survive. That's what allowed me to survive through this thing. Because mentally, I was so stressed out that I don't really, like, it was the hardest thing for me to get through.
Did it help you also empower you to take charge and take care of your son?
Yeah, absolutely. But before I get to that point, I had been to this psychiatrist. The psychiatrist scared the crap out of me because he said, "Hey, I mean, he had a preconceived idea about what was going to happen because he had another client that had a Russian wife, and the Russian wife set up the man. The man was like a fire chief, well-respected member of the community, and got him put in jail for spousal abuse by like smashing your face into the wall and then saying you better. And he goes, "I'm telling you, my client's in jail."
So even the psychiatrist was causing you to be intimidated and afraid if you took care of yourself, you would be the one thrown into jail.
Yeah, oh yeah.
When was the turning point for you that you realized none of that was true?
Well, I'm not going to say none of it was true, but she had the opportunity to totally destroy me. But instead would just kind of, like, she never did the coup de grace, so to speak. And what I had to do was to get her out of my house because it really became, where, one day she was holding the baby over the cement steps and threatening to drop him on his head, and then said she was going to go get her gun and start shoot me, and I was like, "You got a gun?" So I legally evicted her, but I couldn't put her on the street. So I put a prayer out to God, like, if she could let me somehow buy a condo and then put her in there, it would be a big help to me, God. And that happened. I don't know how, it was a miracle. Wow. And so she was in the condo for a year with the baby, but then I had the baby for a whole weekend, and on the way home, he said, "I don't want to go home to Mommy because she hits me." And so I started to investigate, and I saw a pipe in there, and I was on my way to Korea, so I called DCFS, and I said, "I want you to investigate and see if she's abusing my son and if she's on drugs." And incredibly, she took a drug test for them, and then it came up positive for meth. And DCFS just immediately said, "If you don't take your son, we're going to put him in the system. You've got to pick up your son now and take custody." And then we went to court, and the court said, "Yeah, we're giving you temporary 100% custody." Since then, they've given her like 6 months to get clean and prove that she's, okay. But after the first 6 months, she came down with TB, active TB.
I'm not surprised after doing that.
Well, and mind you, she's working as an Uber driver. So if anybody was riding in a car with a Thai woman over the last year and you're experiencing symptoms of TB, you better get tested. I hate to break it to you because she got locked up in an isolation ward for 2 months. And then when she got out, we went to the judge again, then she was able to use that and say, "Oh, well, I've been sick. I couldn't go to meetings and prove that I'm clean of meth and all this stuff." And so the judge gave her another 6 months to try and make it happen. But where it's at now is that this coming Tuesday, the sheriffs are going to evict her from the condo because I can't keep paying for 2 mortgages, and she's making no effort to put anything towards her housing expenses, so she's being evicted on Tuesday, and I'm going to be able to rent the condo out.
Does she see her son at all, your son?
Yes, she was seeing him regularly until about, and things were going along well. But it's like every time I'm nice to her and generous, it seems to like remind her of everything that she doesn't have that she wants from me. You know, like my full love and devotion and her to be in the house and the whole thing, and so she'll act out in anger instead of gratitude, right? So she had Vaughn in the car, so she had my son in the car and called me and said, your son doesn't want to be with me because you made him love you and hate me, and I'm not going to put up with this anymore because he says he doesn't want to come spend the night with me, so I'm going to bring him home. He doesn't like me, I don't like you, I don't want to see you anymore. Tells my son, I don't want to see you anymore. So I was so, after that I just said, you know what, I don't care what the court order says, you're not seeing him until we have a social worker to monitor the visit.
I was going to say, I hope you're having monitored visitation.
Well, she's kind of snowed the social worker and got the, and everybody. Like the social worker saying, no, she's clean, she's tested clean. I was like, really? Well, how come we just went to the court and the judge said she has not tested clean?
And it's not just about the physical sobriety,
Yeah.
it's about
course.
emotional sobriety. So whether or not she's clean, to me, and I'm an advocate for children and for child abuse, and it doesn't have to be just physical, it could be verbal and emotional. So whether or not she's clean, to me, has nothing to do with whether or not it's safe for her to be with your son. Because he's the one being damaged, he's the priority. He is the one that's affected, as you probably know, by her illness. Whatever it is, she's abusing him. There's no excuse for abuse, whether it's I'm addicted, I'm strung out, I have this, I'm bipolar. There's still no excuse for abuse. I don't know if you listen to my show, but for kids, verbal and emotional abuse is deadlier than physical abuse. Physical abuse can heal. You can heal a black and blue mark. But when a child hears something like these words that your wife said to him, children are realists. They're literalists. So that means whatever they hear, they're going to take it at face value. If she says to him something like, I don't love you, or I don't want to see you, that is way more deadly. Ruins his entire being forever. It's irreparable. It could never be healed. Just hearing words like that. So I know, because I'm a survivor of verbal, mental, and emotional abuse, things were said that I heard. So I'm just being an advocate for your son. He doesn't deserve to be around any kind of abuse, no matter what or who or what. I'm sure you know that, though, and maybe this isn't the first time you've heard any of that. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm absolutely on the same page, and I'm trying to get my attorney to get the court to reopen to get another court date prior to the 6 month period so we can get it, get monitored visits, or I'd like him also to just decide on 100% custody for me.
And the courts, just so you know, because I know you listened to some people before, you said the doctor told you, oh, the courts don't give the father's custody unless blah, blah, blah. You were dissuaded. I just want to encourage you, as a former divorce attorney and family law mediator, that the court system is coming to. They're waking up and becoming aware of the violence perpetrated by verbal, emotional, spiritual, mental abuse, as well as the physical. So the courts are starting to be aware that it's not just about whether they have tracks all over their arms and legs because they're mainlining heroin, but that also the emotional health of the child is a priority as well. a lot of the courts, the lawyers, the attorneys, the mediators are waking up and smelling the hummus. Just so you know, I want to encourage you and not dissuade you from what you know is right for your son. Right now, you're his advocate. He needs you desperately. And this isn't about a male, female, mother, father thing. I'm not an advocate for one sex over the other as far as a parent. I'm solely the advocate for the child. It doesn't matter who it is that's in their ball court. Kudos to you for being there for your son, and I encourage you on Tuesday and whenever you can to use the full gamut that's available to you and not be intimidated by the fact you think you're the male role model and because she's the woman she should have more, or this should be, or...
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I actually have been finding that what you say is true, and that the courts are finally understanding that they really did a lot of disservice to men in the last several decades by always siding with the woman more.
Right, but again, it's really up to you. You said you went to this seminar. They said, pick something you want to do for 90 days or lay out a goal. And I would say this would be a great time to lay out a goal that you're going to be the advocate for your son. They talk about being colorblind. You could be a proponent of how the court system can be blind to the sex of the parent. It's really no longer that way anymore, and you're not alone as far as fathers. I don't know if you've done this before, but you said you were in some support groups. There are a lot of support groups out there for single fathers who are raising their sons and daughters because of similar situations. It would be so great if you could hook up with some of those people, not only for your son, so that your son could be part of that group, but also so that you can get support, have people cheering you on, being on your side, saying, yay, go, Doug, go. Because, I could do that, but it's something that could help you in your everyday life. Because it's not easy, and I know I asked what's the good news and is this the challenge? My heart goes out to you. I can hear that you're devoted, a dedicated dad, and you've got that miracle cure of the meditation. That is going to help you here. Oh my God, I just got chills, Doug, because I can feel right now that that same kind of miracle that happened with your ankle is about to happen with you and your son. I can feel it. I am so excited. I just got this thought and I was like, wow, I forgot that you have that magic card. You have that wild card. You've got it. I'm so excited. Your son is so lucky. I got chills again and my hair's standing on end. I want to wish you so much luck and encourage you to use that power of the meditation that you have within you. Wow, your son is one of the luckiest guys and you are a wonderful father. And if you forget, please call back. And I also love to have you call back in the show again and let us know how it's going for you. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
I hope you have a wonderful night. You've made my evening. Thank you again for being so honest and forthcoming. Bravo to your son. And I don't know if he's around, but I encourage you to give him a big hug and let him know how much you adore, appreciate, and admire him. He's a winner. You guys are both winners.
Well, thank you so much, Deb.
Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We have a writing question from Mary in Orlando. Why do men expect you to drive to where they live, pay for dinner, and put out for them on a first date? I happen to old-fashioned chivalry. Great question, Mary, and I've been asking myself for eons. I always say, where have all the real men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the menches gone? Long time ago. I can't seem to find them anymore. Once in a while, a gentleman will open the door for me and hold it till I pass. I'm amazed, impressed, and in awe. What a wonderful gift. Men out there, it's so simple. It won't cost you anything. But for me, it's worth $1 million and will go a long way. I usually respond by saying, tell your mom she did a good job, since that's where it starts. I like to go to the source of the issue and nip it in the bud. Parents out there, moms and dads, it's up to you to be an example. Remember, not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. Children learn from what they see, not from what they hear. Actions speak louder than words. with your offspring, more is caught than taught. How did your parents treat each other is inevitably how you will find out why a man has class. Yes, it continues in schools where politeness, kindness, consideration, compassion, gentleness, and generosity of mind, body, and spirit ought to be number one in the lesson plan. The first subject that takes priority over math and history. Once kids reach a certain age, it's much more arduous to change their habits. They've already caught who they're going to be from nature and nurture. It's okay to nurture little boys. It's okay for boys to play with dolls, because someday they're going to be a father too. Similarly, it's okay for boys to cry, big boys and little boys. That shows empathy, and if men are brought up to ignore their so-called feminine side, they're going to be off balance. Hence, dis-ease is ripe for the taking. Too much yin or too much yang makes a person lacking. And you don't get your needs met, you look for them in other ways, in other people. Hence, you listen to my show for proper etiquette on how to be a real man. A mensch. Mary, my heart goes out to you, as I've said before, when we're pointing our index finger at someone else, three are back at us. We've got to bless them, change you. How do you handle these scenarios, Mary? Starting out with, how are you treating yourself? Do you honor your needs? Do you treat yourself with dignity and respect? Meaning, do you put yourself first, making sure you're filled to the brim, meeting your own needs? Or are you waiting for him to bring you flowers? Do you buy yourself a bouquet? Do you take yourself on an artist's way date and enjoy dinner or a movie on your own or with friends? Can you travel alone? Or are you waiting for him to sweep you off your feet? Are you focused on your spiritual, mental, emotional, and psychological bucket as well? Is it filled, or are you taking your bucket to dry wells, such as men who don't know how to treat a lady? You've got to treat yourself like a lady first, Mary, before expecting others to follow suit. Once you check that off the list, the next step is to look for the red flags. Set boundaries. By red flags, I mean you can tell in the first 5 minutes whether a guy's a mensch or not. You've got to be aware and conscious. Wake up and smell the hummus. Don't be blinded by hormones or your heart skipping a beat across a crowded room. It's critical not to get steamrolled by someone's outsides, their exteriors, their resume, how they look on paper, or what they say in their profile online. It's also adamant to talk to them on the phone before you meet them. Don't just go from emailing to a romantic dinner. Get a sense of their motives, intentions, values, morals. You've got to use your senses, Mary, and especially your sixth sense. The one that intuitively knows what you're getting into. The one that says, don't go here, this is not a fit. Stop trying to fit a circle into a square or make an orange an apple. There are plenty of fish in the sea. If it's meant to be, it'll be easy, comfortable, you'll feel like you're at home, warm, cozy, relaxed, able to be yourself without having to wear a mask or be a chameleon. Which brings me to people-pleasing. If that's your issue, Mary, then look at yourself instead of pointing the index finger at them. Work on your codependency and setting boundaries. Start with people in your life whom you care about and trust, who are there for you, who love you just the way you are. Practice saying no thank you. That doesn't work for me. No is a complete sentence. Then you'll be ready when it comes to dating to be able to weed out those who are obstructing your garden from growing, who are keeping you from blossoming, from receiving the sunlight of the soul. You don't need to give up your values and morals just to be liked or get approval. The best way to have others honor you is to honor yourself first, to thine own self be true. Be the person you want to attract. You will find that men will flock to you, who are courteous, polite, kind, considerate, and treat you like a lady. You deserve it, Mary. I'm rooting for you. Thanks for writing in. It indicates you're already on your way. You're not going to put up with BS anymore. You've already raised your level of esteem and worth by reaching out. Feel free, Mary, to write back and let us know how it goes.
Well, that's all the time we have. Tune in nightly at 9 p.m. Pacific Time and midnight Eastern Time to AmericanHeartsRadio.com for another enlightening episode of Sleepless in Studio City. Dr. Debs, deemed the new relationship guru, a West Coast Dr. Laura, and East Coast Carrie Bradshaw, provides comforting, heartfelt help. She will lift your spirits, illuminate your mind, inspire creativity, promote positivity, and empower you to pursue your highest aspirations. You deserve to be the best version of yourself. If you'd like to be a guest caller, featured artist, or have your writing question answered on the show, feel free to contact Dr. Debs at sleeplessinstudiocity@gmail.com, and she'll schedule you for the next opening. For replay links, updates, and affirmations, please visit facebook.com/sleeplessinstudiocity or twitter.com/Dr. Debs. Find full episodes on iTunes. You can also listen to 5-minute excerpts on YouTube while watching a soothing, serene slideshow. Dr. Debs is available around the clock for telephone life coaching sessions, and the first consultation is free. Contact her at sleeplessinstudiocity@gmail.com to arrange an appointment at your convenience. Dr. Debs will impart weekly wows, words of wisdom, and leave you with esteem builders and confidence boosters to help you transform from the inside out. Repeat often. Say them in the morning, in the evening, while driving, standing in line, or on a lunch break. Speak with conviction, and you will begin to believe. Without further ado, here's Dr. Debs.
Thank you, Maxie, for that heartfelt, tender, precious closing. Just as you are, I leave you with these words of wisdom from Fritz Perls. Awareness in and of itself is curative. Which I love, because awareness and consciousness is the first step to transformation. And it reminds me of our caller tonight, who talked about how meditation has cured himself and his son spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, and because all diseases are from dis-ease. When you become conscious, change your brain chemistry, practice the spiritual practices of meditation, forget Xanax for depression, forget pills, drugs for autoimmune deficiency disorders, for stress-related illnesses, for cancer, for depression, for addiction. Doctors out there, hear ye, hear ye. Wake up and start writing prescriptions for meditation, for prayer, for mindfulness, for sacred service, for spiritual fellowship, for connection, not separation, not going into your home alone and taking a bunch of pills, but instead making contact, not only the spiritual contact with whoever you believe in or whatever you believe in, not only the spiritual contact with a divine energy, but a contact and connection with your fellow human beings. They found that the cities and the countries where people live the longest is because the communities get together every day. The people commune, they have tea, they have crumpets, they have time together every day. So many people in the big cities now, they're so busy running around, especially in Los Angeles. People are in their cars by themselves all day and all night. They never connect with people. No wonder there's separation. No wonder there's bigotry. No wonder there's racism. No wonder there's abuse. No wonder there's violence and discrimination. There's separateness. Nobody can connect and realize we're all one. We're one and the same. Your pain is my pain. Your joy is my joy. That's what this show is about, to connect. So you can remember, so you can connect and recollect that we're all one. We're all in this together. Take some action this week and reach out and touch someone. Anyone. Be it somebody in your household, the neighbor, the mail carrier, the cashier, the waiter or waitress, wherever you might be, your employer, your boss, wherever you are, reach out and touch someone. Let them know that they matter to you. Smile. Offer some support. Say hello. You will feel the connection and you will heal. What you give, you keep. we get to keep what we give away. I leave you with those words of wisdom from Michael Bernard Beckwith, the founder and spiritual director of Agape International Spiritual Center. And if you're in the Los Angeles area, check it out on Sundays at the magnificent Saban Theater in Beverly Hills. Sunday mornings, 6:30 to 7:30, the Way of Meditation, 8:30 meditation and 9 a.m. service, and 11 a.m. meditation and 11:30 service. I leave you with these positive confidence boosters and esteem builders. Say them as often as you can. Say them standing in front of the mirror, looking deep into your eyes where you will reach your inner core, your chi, your essence. You can change your brain chemistry by repeating these words. It's been scientifically proven that when you use affirmations and you repeat them over and over, you can literally transform your brain chemistry. You will be changing your vibration, your energy, your consciousness. Consciousness precedes form. First, you've got to change your consciousness and wake up and smell the hummus. Then you've got to change your words, your actions. You can't think yourself into right acting, but you can act yourself into right thinking. The action is these words of positivity to boost your confidence and build your esteem. If you want to feel better and raise your esteem, you've got to do esteemable acts, which is why I always include positive affirmations at the end of the show. And if you can't write them down, visit our Facebook page, Sleepless in Studio City, and I will have them there for you. Today, I accept and reveal the gifts that are mine to give. My life is an expression of soulful artistry and heart-centered relationships. Today, I give with gusto and rejoice in receiving. I live in full integrity with my soul call of greatness. In all things, I am grateful, and so it is. Peace out.